everyone. Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of the SpookNotes podcast, where we get academic about everything that goes bump in the night. My name is Marlena.
This is Connor.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the movie Overlord. Blah, blah, blah.
Yep, another First Impressions episode.
Yeah, gotta keep it fresh for you guys.
We just saw Overlord.
Saw it.
The first weekend it came out, we saw it on Tuesday on Half Price Day, but the movie's only been out for about 4 or 5 days now.
That's the best day to go.
So, yeah. So as always with these first impression episodes, these really are raw impressions. We haven't talked to each other about it on the way home.
No.
We haven't researched anything. We haven't given ourselves that much time to think. This is our raw reactions to the movie Overlord.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So, as always, we start off by giving a simple one-word yes or no recommendation of whether you should see the movie before we go into spoilers, because as always, we do full spoilers for these episodes.
Yeah, so do yourself a favor, guys. Go see such movies, or don't go see such movies, and then just listen to our podcast.
I mean, even if you don't see it and you don't want to see it, listen to our podcast anyways.
Yeah, just please listen to our podcast, please.
But I mean, if you do want to see it, then obviously you see it first, then listen. But
yeah, guys.
So, one word, yes or no, would you recommend this?
Sure.
I said yes or no.
Oh, yes.
Yes, yes for me as well.
That's good.
But I actually do want to add something. Oh my god, this is a ghost.
Oh my god, welcome to BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Oh my god.
On this episode, we'll be exploring the ghost in our apartment.
Yeah. Or / our neighbor upstairs.
That's fine.
So yeah, but anyways, I wanted to add one thing before we go into spoiler. If Justin Henderson is listening, my brother, see this movie, Justin, before you listen to the podcast, because you're going to like it, and then come back and listen to the podcast. And I know you're listening. All right, so now we're going to get into spoilers, so this is your warning, and 3, 2, 1. Okay, everybody who wants to be spoiled should still be here. All right, Marlena, what did you think of Overlord?
I thought it was a good movie. You know, it really satisfied all my horror, army, military movie needs, which I didn't even know I needed. I thought it was really good. I thought all the characters were very well portrayed, and had some good character development there, which is always, necessary for movies and shit.
For a good movie.
I really liked seeing a war type movie, just because usually you don't see a lot of those.
I will say, one thing I looked up before we went and see this movie. I was looking up horror movies based in like World War I or World War II, and there are a few, but there's not a lot. And I was like, I thought there was more, but there's really not a lot.
Also, fun fact. Well, not really a fun fact, just more like a fun statement. I think it's hilarious how we saw this movie Overlord, being that it's in the month of November.
Well, that's why they released it.
Which is like Remembrance Day and soldiers and stuff.
And Memorial Day in the States.
Yeah, because usually, around October and not really November, but December, they have a whole bunch of movies. Like, for instance, October, you have Halloween, you have Trick or Treat, you have Halloween Town, like all those movies, right? Then you go to December and you have Black Christmas and Krampus and all those kinds of films. So I feel like there's not really much happening in the month of November.
Do you mean like a holiday-related horror movie?
Yeah, like obviously this isn't like
a holiday.
Like Remembrance, because that would just be awful.
Wrong.
Yeah, but I think it was just like really cool that it came out in November.
Mm-hmm.
Especially it's like 2 days after Remembrance Day, so I think that's...
Well, I think they did that on purpose.
No way.
Okay, well, let me ask you something else before we go really into it.
Mm-hmm.
When we walked out of the theater, you asked me, was this even a horror movie? And I'm not making fun of you, I'm just like asking, what made you say that? Like, what, in your opinion, like, in my opinion, it's very clearly a horror movie, but what made you say that?
Well, okay, my first impression of it in terms of a horror movie, like, it's not too much of, like, in-your-face horror. like obviously there's like zombies and like, gore and stuff. But my first impression was it really wasn't a horror movie, but when I thought of it like during the drive home like in the car, I was like, well, actually it is a horror movie depending how you look at it. Like for instance, if you're looking at it from a war perspective, that's probably the worst horror you could ever experience.
It's horrific.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was like, what, okay, it is a horror movie technically, but like obviously it's not like Jason or Freddy or
Chuck. It's not straight horror.
Exactly.
Well, what
it's not like a slasher horror.
It's action horror, and horror does that a lot, where it mixes with other genres. A good example that we saw recently was we saw Aliens. We watched that.
Yeah, we did.
I would classify that as a horror action movie as well.
And
that one's even horror action sci-fi.
I preferred Aliens to Alien.
A lot of people do. I personally don't.
And I didn't fall asleep during it.
Well, that's because we saw it in the theater.
Well, you never know. I could just pass out at any given moment. But yeah, I didn't fall asleep, so that was definitely good. I think it was because of the action part, That's why this movie Overlord really, kept me on my feet.
Well,
so much action, so much bullets.
See, then you liked it?
Yeah, it was good. It was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like about it?
Well, I haven't even said if I liked it or not.
You just said, would you recommend it? And you said yes.
Well, you can recommend a bad movie. But no, I like this one as well. However, what I would say, different than you then, you said you really liked it. I would say I liked it. I wouldn't say I really liked it. I did have a few problems with it, and I wouldn't think it was an amazing movie. I thought it was good.
Oh, no. I think you're making it sound like I think this is the greatest movie ever fucking made.
No.
No, I think it's good for what it is. It definitely surpasses certain films, but I wouldn't say it's like, oh my god.
So what's something that you did really like about it? Let's go with the positives first, like always.
Well, I said my piece. You should go.
Was there anything else that you liked about it?
Well, okay, I would say I like the environment and just the bleak colors that they chose. I really like that. And actually, it wasn't even so much bleak colors.
Well, I mean, a little bit, especially in the town and in the house as well.
Yeah, but definitely when you get into what do they call it? Like a church, the church or something?
Well, it's built underneath the church. It's like their research lab.
Yeah, when you get down there, it's more heavy saturated colors, like blood and guts and gore and shit. And it's very vibrant. So I really I don't know. I just like the guns and the shooting and stuff, because me and Connor recently have started getting into shooting guns. Now, don't think we're weird, because we totally are, but whatever. I don't know. I'm just boom, boom, boom. Whatever. I'm just gonna stop talking. You go ahead.
Okay, well, I mean, I actually would agree with you in that sense.
Bullets.
Oh
okay, I'm done now. All right.
I would agree with you in that sense, in that one of the aspects of the movie that I really liked was the kind of the more war side of it, the portrayal of war. And I'm also a big history buff. I have my major in history. So seeing that kind of portrayal of World War II...
Nerd. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm really hyper. Okay, go ahead.
Are you done?
No. Yes, go.
So seeing that portrayal of the war on film, I thought was really cool. I thought, like I said, the very first opening scene, from basically when the movie opens to when they get into the house finally with the girl, I thought that was all excellent, because I thought that was really accurate. Before then, that's before any of the horror movie parts of it starts. So before then, it's just a straight World War II action film. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was actually really good. Their portrayal of war, I thought it was really realistic, and even though it wasn't the actual horror parts of it, it was still horrifying to see.
Oh yeah.
To see because I think that maybe it's a little bit
dramatized.
Yeah, dramatic, but I think that it's still a fairly accurate portrayal of what it would have been like, and again, just how horrible it is to be in a situation like that, from when they started on the plane to when he goes to the ground.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say on the plane, that would be absolutely awful. If you were in that situation, the plane is on fire, like exploding, and like the use of sound in the movie I thought was really good.
Oh yeah.
And it was very loud. Like I almost wanted to cover my ears at some point, but I think that was the point because they're trying to make you feel like the soldiers in the film, right?
Yeah, like if anything, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself here, but if anything, I think that probably those first 15 minutes, like that opening scene, was my favorite part of the entire movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just really liked the whole thing with the plane, and then when he lands, and then his first kind of like when he's in the forest, and he feels very desperate, like it feels at any moment like
He's vulnerable.
he's vulnerable, yeah, and that's I think when you're the most afraid for the character because you know because that's what really happens sometimes. Soldiers would get stuck behind enemy lines and would have to try to fend for themselves basically because their friends couldn't come and help them.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's really scary to me. So I really like that part of it.
Another part that was really like scary to think about when the main character, he's like in the lab and everything, and he sees one of his comrades, and he's strapped to this machine that's like sucking fluids and shit from him. And like I don't know, just something about that, like being alive and having all these wires and tubes hooked up to you, like oh no, thank you. So that's really scary, and also just like being reanimated, right? Because they give these dead people the serum, and it's just like, what if that happened to you? What if you died, and then were just brought back to life, and then really could never die unless you were like
Destroyed.
yeah, that would just no thanks.
Well, I mean, I think that like the tube part especially plays on like fears we have of just kind of like being in a hospital, kind of like because that is something that people fear, being unable to help themselves and having to rely on machines to keep them alive,
Yeah.
and stuff. So that's like I think that's a a realistic and common fear that a lot of people have in this kind of crazy, unrealistic horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I do like. I would say what I really like about it is the fact that they mix the crazy horror aspects of it with real life like fears and real life scenarios, and I think, well, maybe a little bit over the top, a somewhat realistic portrayal of what being in the war was like.
No, absolutely. Like aside from the zombies, I think it would be very accurate to what we saw,
Mm-hmm.
or it's an accurate representation of it.
Yeah, and I like that mixture.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that you want to point out that you really liked?
I really liked the lady in the film.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like, okay, there were moments that she was, the damsel in distress and needed to be saved, but I think the more she progressed throughout the film, she definitely became a badass. Like especially like when she was shooting, like like she just like plowed them all down. I'm like, yes, girl, get it.
When she had the flamethrower.
Yeah, oh my god, when that scene happened with the flamethrower and she was like killing the zombie, and I was like, hey Connor, that's according to Deadliest Warrior, that's actually the worst way to die. And I was like, it's scientifically proven. Then he like rolled his eyes at me.
Well, also, I don't think the zombies
But
in this movie
no,
felt a lot
like
of
listen,
pain.
there's facts behind this shit. Max Geiger, he did some freaking beep booping on his computer, and it's true.
Okay.
I hate Max Geiger. He's such a fucking asshole. Okay, carry on.
All right. Anything else you want to point out for liking, or should we go to the negatives?
I think we should go to the negatives because sometimes we can find positives without.
I get what you're
from
saying.
there.
Okay. What didn't you like about it?
I think I was expecting more zombies in the film because
that was my number one complaint.
Yeah, because when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, oh wow, like zombie freaking war movie, that's awesome. And like they probably used all the zombie parts in the trailer, I feel.
Certainly a lot
And
of them.
it made it like a lot bigger than it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, that's I want to talk about that some more in depth because that was my biggest problem with the movie.
Yeah.
And I think where the biggest amount of points I'm going to take away from it is because even though it was this like horror action movie where there's war and there's this Nazi experiments to create like zombies, it wasn't that crazy. Like, there
No.
was maybe in the entire movie 3 zombies, if you think
Well,
about
yeah,
it.
because you see, what's his name? Werner, like Hans, or
The main Nazi guy.
yeah,
There was the one the girl fought, and then
the ant. Would you even classify
no, I was
that?
gonna say, well, the photographer when he gets turned into a
Yeah,
zombie.
yeah, yeah.
But that's really it. Like, I thought it was gonna be like, you know what I thought it was gonna be.
Hmm.
When I was going to the movie, I was convinced it was gonna be this. I was convinced it was gonna be a World War II action movie mixed with Reanimator.
Yeah.
Because if you remember at the end of Reanimator, like the whole shit just goes crazy. There's zombies everywhere.
Yes.
You
Oh
know,
my
they
God.
can't kill them. They're just kind of trying to escape, like run for their lives.
Yeah.
That's what I thought this was gonna be.
Sorry.
And it wasn't really that. There was like a few zombies and a few like big like scenes with zombies, but it's not like there was ever a scene where there was like
Yeah.
balls to the walls crazy
And
action.
like, okay, that's the thing where you really have to ask yourself, like, would it have been better as a movie if it was like just shit insane?
Yes. This is what
Yeah,
I wanted
that's
this movie
well,
to be.
yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
other thing. I also thought this was going to be like insanely gory as well.
Yes.
There was some gore in it, certainly, but it wasn't like crazy
Well, it's
gory.
not like David Cronenberg
Yeah.
type shit.
It was like
Like, I definitely think they had potential, but they followed a more serious, like, true to the history path.
see, here's what I would have wanted in this movie. I really wanted this to happen. I wanted it to start off kind of true to life, like it
Yeah.
did start off.
Yeah.
And then by the time they get to like the underground bunker, I wanted things just to go crazy. And they kind of didn't. They kind of just were like, we just need to do our mission and, you know, we just still soldiers or whatever and let's do our job and yay.
And they
But it wasn't
sorry.
like, it wasn't crazy. Like it never got to that point where I was like, this is like cool, insane action with lots of gore. It was just like, they were fighting one zombie.
And like that's the thing, like with the cast that they chose, I definitely okay, the one Italian guy. By the way, he plays in Orange is the New Black. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Which
I'm like,
one was that?
the Italian real Jersey guy, you know?
The one that the kid was copying?
Yeah,
Copying?
copying. Yes, him.
Yeah.
Him and then that other guy who they like pulled the tube out of his stomach. Those characters were funny. So I definitely feel like if there was more of those and then they just put him in a scenario that was absolutely insane, it would have been a good movie. But I feel like if they would have had that same cast with those same characters acting the way they did, it wouldn't have made sense. Because you have your serious people that like will strategically try to kill the zombies, but it won't be fun, you know? Or I think like a movie like this, like you really can't go into it thinking that this is gonna be serious shit. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be like Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead or whatever.
Well,
It's kind of funny, you know?
well, that's what I was hoping it would be, but I thought it was more serious. And if anything, I also thought that um, the marketing was a little misleading.
It was.
Because when I saw the trailer for this movie, it was like you got the idea that there was like these soldiers and then they got stranded and then they find this Nazi lab and the Nazis are doing some sort of weird experiments and then all you see is like some sort of crazy like thing. And what I thought this movie was actually going to be, this is where it surprised me in a bad way, was I thought this movie was going to be like more of like a monster movie and not a zombie movie. I thought there was going to be like these things are like monsters.
Oh, I don't know. I
Like
thought
they
they
like when
were
they
zombies.
took like when they took like the serum or whatever, I was expecting them to like turn into like monsters, like in like The Thing or something.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of like more like straight up like zombies, like Reanimator.
I don't know. I feel like the more and more we pick apart this movie in terms of that, like it did let me down a little bit.
Like I said, I thought that the good parts were the action was still good.
Yeah.
And
Like
I
it
said,
definitely is it's entertaining to watch. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
boring.
No, it's not boring, but and like obviously, like I said, the first part was really really good. But I just thought it could have been more.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't crazy enough. It wasn't gory enough. Like I was hoping, I was hoping, like Evil Dead levels of gore, where it's just like fountains of
the
blood. And like crazy stuff like that.
But here's the thing: majority of the population is not as batshit crazy like we are, who just want to see like gallons of blood like going everywhere. You know.
But this is like, I mean, I think this is made for the horror audience, and that's what we want.
That's true. But maybe we're becoming desensitized to violence and gore, and we're just, you know, sociopaths
Oh, we
walking
definitely
around.
are, but
No, I know, but it's just well, because I'm thinking we saw somebody's head get like stomped in, and they did
but
like
we
a
just saw
shot.
that on Halloween.
Okay, well, feck, I don't know.
But this is my point. Like, it just wasn't crazy enough. Um, I do have a few other problems with the movie, though.
Okay.
Um, I thought it was too long. I thought the middle section definitely could have been cut down.
Yeah.
Like, they were in that house for like almost an hour. I would have liked either more of the beginning part, where it's just the war part, or more of the end part.
Because I'm trying to even think, like, what the fuck? What did they do in the middle of it? That was when that German guy came in, was like, "Yo, make me a rabbit or something and fuck me," and then he got
Interrogated.
yeah, but oh, I guess you got a
And
point.
then,
They really didn't do too much with that.
like, I thought the first act, like I said, was really good. And I actually, even though I think it could have been crazier, the last act was really good. But I think the middle was A, boring because nothing much happens, and B, could have been like, because this was an hour and 50 minutes
Wow.
movie, and I feel like it would have been better as like an hour 40 or an hour 30 minutes.
That's true. Also, I kind of had a problem with the end of the movie.
Me too.
It ended too happily, and you know what? Maybe we're just sadistic fucks, but I wanted it to be like, I don't know, like these fucking Russians are coming up with some zombies as well. You better watch your stuff. They're gonna get you. But it was like, no, everything is happy in France. We're all okay. Like, you know.
You know what I think it was is that I think it just went the ending went on a little too far, and then the happiness was there, like when they're all like sitting in the camp together and they're all happy. If anything, you know where I think it should have ended? Because well, one good thing I'll say is I actually like the scene where our main character is setting the bombs and then running out of the thing, because that was all one shot.
Oh, was
when
it?
he was running out of the thing, and it was kind of really cool like that.
Oh.
And when he's running out and there's that big explosion, and then it cuts to black.
Yeah.
Why not just end it right there?
That's true. Sometimes you don't need closure.
Yeah,
sometimes as an audience, you just
because we know what happens, and we know that like the thing was destroyed.
Yeah.
And we know that he got out. Why not just end it right there?
That probably would have saved the production crew and stuff like some money too. So.
Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, I don't know. Like, there's still some things I liked about this movie. I would say, like, here's the thing. I would still say, I thought it could have been more, but overall it was still fun.
Yeah, no, like, I definitely think, people should go and see this movie, but...
Especially if they're a fan of, like, horror action.
Yeah, but one thing I would not do is don't read about this movie, don't watch any trailers or anything like that. Just go and see it for what it is, because I feel like a lot of the times, and that's just not even for horror movies, just for movies in general, that you have these expectations set by the trailer and what's being said along the media, or like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that, like ratings. Just fuck it, just drop that and just go and see it.
Well, I mean, I would recommend that about every horror movie.
Well, yeah.
Or every movie in general, but that's just me.
Well, yeah, because I feel like, some movies, for instance, one movie I really, really liked this year was Hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say I read about it on the internet and it was rated like 4% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I saw the trailer.
It was rated like 94.
Okay, I know. I'm trying to
make a point.
Yes. So, like, I read about this movie's absolute trash, and then I go and see it, so my own perceptions of the movie are already formed. That means it's not going to surpass it. It's just going to be how it is. Like, I'm going to go into the movie thinking it's already bad, so I know it's bad.
Well, that's why one movie I did that, where I didn't like read anything about it this year, and I really loved it because of that, was when we saw Mandy. I didn't know anything about that movie going in, and I was like, this movie's fucking awesome.
Okay,
I loved it.
This movie doesn't make any fucking sense. But I think that's what makes it so good. And that's why I think Overlord should have just followed the same thing, where it was just absolute craziness.
I know, that's what it should have been. But you know, one thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about like rating this movie. Another way that I usually think about movies and stuff is I always think about like what am I going to do after this? And I'll explain how. Like, when I saw Halloween and when I saw Hereditary afterwards, I'm like, I know I'm probably gonna buy those Blu-rays because I want to watch them again. I want to see like special features about them and learn how they're made. This is the kind of movie where I don't regret seeing it. I'm glad we saw it in the theaters because I thought it was really cool seeing it in the theater, especially with like the surround sound. I thought that was awesome.
Yep.
And on the big screen. But would I go out and buy it to own? Probably not. Would I go to my way to see it again, like watch it again?
Meh.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Like I'll see it again if it's like somebody wanted to watch it and I was there, but like I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again.
No, honestly, I agree with you 100%.
So
I definitely feel. Sorry, you finish what you were gonna say first.
You go.
I was gonna say, if this movie was on Netflix or something, I don't think I would have watched it. Like, I think because we saw it in the theater, it makes it better than it actually is.
Well, that's not saying it's being better, but I think that's the ideal environment for it.
Yeah,
because it's a big movie.
Well, yeah, and you want it being loud and in your face, and that you like the jump scares that they had. Okay, they were so predictable, but still, you get that like a little flicker, like because it's like, really loud.
For me, like again, I go back to my favorite part of the movie, which was the beginning, like when he was like just got out of the water and then he was getting shot from across the river. I thought that was really cool because it just seemed like so in your face and like you felt like you were in there with him and you felt afraid for him, and that was like because of it was on the big screen.
Yeah.
And because with the surround sound and everything.
That's true.
So, well, is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
Nothing that I can think of right now.
Do you want to go to some ratings?
I think we should do that.
Okay.
How many bullets out of 10 would you give this?
How many Nazi serum needles would you give this out of 10?
Like a solid 7. Like that's
7?
Yeah.
Huh.
What about you? Sometimes you're more critical.
I do. Well, actually, I've found, and I think this is probably going to continue the trend, that I'm usually just below you.
Okay.
Because I would probably give this a 6.
Okay.
Maybe a 6.5.
Fair enough.
Like I said, it was still good. And you know what else? Also, by the way, this is why I said this at the beginning. If you're a fan of Call of Duty and Call of Duty Zombies, then you'll like this movie.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Again, I go back to it. I've said it before on this. I've said it before. It should have been even more crazy. Like, because if you're a fan of, like, when I think of Nazi zombies, because this is basically what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Reanimator versus World War II, and basically Call of Duty Zombies, the movie. But in Call of Duty Zombies, there's, like, zombies all over the place.
Are you sure there's not a movie like that? I swear to God, there's a movie.
Well, there's like the movie Dead Snow, which is basically, but it's more traditional zombies. It's like zombies that actually like walk slowly and you shoot them in the head.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I know we're trying to wrap this up, but one thing I did really like this movie for was their like, and I'm doing air quotes, their zombies or like monsters or whatever the fuck they were. I like the way they moved. Because when you think of zombies, you think of them as, being brainless creatures who kind of just, like, shamble around and, like, they don't really have any fine motor skills or anything like that. But with the creatures that were in this movie, they were fast. Like, very fast, It made me think of, like, when you're playing Call of Duty Zombies and you get those, like, ones that, like, just at you. I was like, oh my God. Whoa.
So if you're a fan of Call of Duty Zombies, or probably just Call of Duty in general with the war stuff, see this movie.
That's right.
So I guess overall, the SpookNotes podcast is giving it 13 out of 20?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we always combine the two.
Yeah, math.
All right, well, I don't know. I think that's it for the podcast this week.
Connor, where can you find us at?
Well, you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes, all by searching SpookNotes Podcast.
Or just SpookNotes. You don't need the extra bling to it, just SpookNotes.
Well, on YouTube, you might want to search SpookNotes Podcast. But anyways. And where can they send us an email, Marlena?
You can you can shout us, you
can send us a message.
Yes, you can. I just had a stroke right there. You can send us your messages at spooknotes@gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or hopefully not concerns, feel free to reach out to us there.
And please, I know this hasn't happened yet, but you can. We were looking for ideas for future podcast episodes. So if you have any ideas of what you want to hear us talk about, a movie or a theme or something like that, send it to the SpookNotes Gmail.
Yeah, or even just comment in the comment sections. I think that would be nice
You
too.
can let us know what you wanna hear about.
Yeah, and if you've seen this movie yourself, tell us what you've rated it and whether or not you would recommend it to other people.
How many Nazi serum needles would you give it?
That's right.
All right,
Well, it's been a slice, and don't forget to cite the spook notes.
Bye.